I'm inspired to do this video by all my friends and patients who have decided in their early recovery to start a brand new relationship. Why do they do this? Well, I know why they do this. If you understand the ACA laundry list traits, you could probably identify and find them in trait 6, 8, and 9. And maybe a couple of the others as well. And if you're in Alcoholics Anonymous, it's called the 13th step. Don't do it. Not good. Let's face it, relationships are really complicated. Even healthy relationships take a lot of work, flexibility, and perseverance. If you want to know more about relationships in general, check out some of my other videos on the Intimacygram, which is all about diagramming your intimacy and balance in your life, or pick up a copy of the book, The Intimacygram, available on Amazon. Both of these will help you define the complexities of relationships. I'm Ken Francis, California licensed marriage and family therapist, and welcome to my world. He understands me. She has the same issues that I have. I can rescue her. He needs me. These might sound like good reasons to pursue a relationship with somebody from a meeting, but are they really? And let me be clear, I'm talking about starting a new relationship when you're new in recovery. I'm not talking about trying to repair or continue with an existing relationship. For this video, it's just the person who is just waking up in their own recovery and all of a sudden focusing on a new relationship. Let's start by discussing how early relationships work. There's this thing called exchange theory. And what exchange theory is all about, it's about getting the goods for the least amount of effort. And in the beginning of a relationship, you really want the goods, so you put the most effort out. And then down the line, once you get the goods, you don't need to try so hard. So you're putting your best foot forward to get what you want. And in this stage of the relationship, it's all about early identification, over-identifying, finding everything that you have in common with the other person. You're looking for similarities and you're dismissing the differences. You overlook the differences, and as some people will say, you fail to see or recognize the red flags. Because you want this to work, you want to find out everything that you identify with this person because it's new, it's exciting, it's passionate. Most people go through exchange theory when you're dating. That's just human nature. You like Chinese food? I love Chinese food. But then after a while, when you get what you want, then all of a sudden the over-identification starts to diminish and you start seeing all the things that you don't have in common. Chinese food again? I thought you liked Chinese food. I do. Well, I do too, so what's the problem? I don't like it every night. And then one day you wake up and you find cracker crumbs in bed, and it's all over. The question is, are you strong enough now to have your heart broken? Are you strong enough now to have your heart broken? In early stages of recovery, you're just trying to sweep yourself off the floor. You're trying to pick yourself up from hitting bottom usually. And this could be trying to detach from the relationship you had with alcohol, the relationship you had with drugs, maybe the codependent relationship you had with a previous partner. But you're still trying to detach from something else that had a huge hold and influence over you. And now you want to start the same cycle? No, in early recovery, as we're trying to pick ourselves up, we really need to learn to have a relationship with ourselves. The three most important things at this time in our life should be our relationship with ourselves, our higher power, and our program. These are the three things to focus on. And if you've had any trauma in your past, you're also trying to get out of feelings. You're trying to get out of shame and abandonment. And if you focus on somebody else, you might not feel the shame. And if you're trying to gravitate towards someone else, you might not be feeling abandoned in that moment. But like I said, down the line, if things don't work out, are you ready to have your heart broken? And can you handle that? Because it's what I call damsel in distress syndrome. You're in a meeting and you're hearing somebody talking from their heart with all their pain. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, wow, that's so horrible that that person went through that. I would treat that person so much better. I would love that person. I would protect that person. I will be in that person's life and swoop them off their feet and give them all the love and kindness and compassion that they could ever want. Okay? It's the knight in shining armor coming in on the white horse to rescue the damsel in distress. Because you're only seeing the part that your heart is going out after. You don't realize that maybe this person has a totally different view of the world than you do. Maybe they have different boundaries, different culture, different political point of view. There's all these different nuances that you just don't know in the beginning. Back in my day, we used to even say, you really don't know a person until you ride your bicycle across the country with them. Because when you're not with somebody every day and seeing all the little nuances of who they are and what they're all about, you're only seeing the image of what maybe you might want to see. You're filling in the blanks. So let's say you are going to be the person on the white shiny horse to go and rescue this person. And you're going to start and pursue a relationship early in your recovery. So the three most important rules of recovery: structure, structure, structure. And the three most important relationships: yourself, your higher power, and your program. So you start a relationship and you basically say, I'm going to be that person on the white horse to come in and rescue this other person and live happily ever after. Are you focusing on yourself, your higher power, or your program? Are you keeping your structure, structure, structure? No, you're not. What are you doing? You're focusing off of those three things that are so important. You're not giving your program the time. You're probably not delving into the steps or the workbooks or calling your sponsor or being involved or being of service because you just don't have time. Because guess what? Relationships take time. They take a lot of time and a lot of energy. And if you already have a full life with work and other things that you're trying to maintain balance of, and now you're throwing the relationship into it, guess what? Your program, your relationship with yourself and your higher power, those go out the window again. And in the end, do you just disappear and drop out of recovery altogether? So, eyes off the relationship. Let's look back at the steps. Because the steps are about powerlessness, unmanageability, connecting with your higher power, and taking an inventory of yourself. These are all things that you need the time to really spend with yourself to process and digest all this information and all the feelings that are coming up for you. And these things that I just mentioned are only the first 4 steps. You still have 8 more to do after that. How many people in the early stages of a relationship make their relationship their higher power and lose themselves completely in the process? Now, these are all examples of distractions in early recovery. Let's look at some of the things that we need to focus on as our foundation in our recovery. You need to learn to love yourself first before starting a relationship with someone else. Are you a partner or a project? Can you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you? I mean, think about it. Can you look at yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, I love you? I know so many people in early recovery that can't even look at themselves in a mirror, let alone say those words. So if you can't even learn to love yourself, how are you going to be emotionally available and present to someone else? Looking into your own eyes, loving yourself without any shame is a huge part of learning to love yourself and be your own loving parent. And you need to ask yourself, am I a project or am I a partner? Because in early recovery, you might not be the partner that you think you are. Once you can learn to give yourself time to heal and to grow as a person, you become the best version of yourself. And when you become that person, then you're much more at peace with yourself. And if things don't go as smoothly as you like, you have a lot more coping tools at this point to get through the relationship. And if the relationship doesn't work out, you're strong enough to get through it. That's what happens when you build the relationship with yourself, with your higher power, and with your community. You have your community and your higher power to fall back on if things don't work out. And I'm not saying this to be all doom and gloom and your relationship's not going to work out, but just know that relationships are complicated and they can be very stressful, as is early recovery. So if you are in early recovery and there's somebody in the meeting who's caught your eye, please take a step back. If you're going to make a relationship with anybody in early recovery, find a sponsor. Find somebody who's very neutral, very plutonic, and start working on a relationship with that person, because that's only going to strengthen your focus, your direction, and your recovery. Save your projects for the hardware store. Struggle through the steps and recovery to be a stronger version of yourself, and then start a relationship. Go through those struggles with your foundation, and who knows, maybe you'll send me an invitation to the wedding. Oh, and I originally mentioned the ACA laundry list traits 6, 8, and 9. Well, here's what they are. Laundry list trait number 6. We have an overdeveloped sense of responsibility, and it is easier for us to be concerned with others rather than ourselves. This enables us not to look too closely at our own faults, etc. Laundry list trait number 8. We became addicted to excitement. And 9, we confuse love and pity and tend to love people we can pity and rescue. So stay focused on your recovery. Keep your structure, and know that if you do the work, good things are still ahead. I'm Ken. Thank you so much for watching.